Hello and welcome back to Shelf Center. This is Bryce. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for liking and subscribing. If this is something you end up enjoying, it could happen. You never know. Anyway, I wanted to do my top shelf news. This is my look at fantasy, science fiction, sometimes horror for the last weekish time period, and just what's new, what's going on in the news, or just what I'm interested in, and maybe some updates along the way for the channel. So anyway, let's jump right into it with the books I will get to. Got some Mistborn movie news. It's disappointing. It's pretty sad, but that'll be in the media part. But we always go with the books first. So books, and if you need links below to get to the next step, if you can't wait, it's right below. All right, first off, speaking of Sanderson did a great interview with Daniel Green and Joe Abercrombie on Daniel Green's channel. If you haven't seen that already, which I'm sure you have, if you're watching this, then you should definitely check that out. I thought Daniel Green did a great job of just kind of letting the greats kind of talk. They just kind of went off and started talking. Daniel Green would just kind of interject here and there. But I thought he did a great job of just kind of like getting it started, staying back, letting them talk, and just letting them go at it. I thought he did a great job with that. What I thought was just great is some of the interactions were just like, hey, you ever get started on a book and you just can't get anywhere with it? Thought that was cool. Apparently Sanderson wrote a whole book and just couldn't really make it work. He had to scratch it and throw it away. And Abercrombie's like, well, yeah, you could do something like that with how many books you write. I don't know if I could do that. I love that. A lot of good interactions like that. I thought one of the interesting things was Sanderson describing his writing process. If you didn't already know, is that he will send, apparently before it gets to the editor, so he'll write the book, I think probably clean it up as much as, probably first cleanup, I assume, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But we'll then send it out to alpha and then beta readers, and it's actually like a lot. It's like, what did he say? I might be missing it. I didn't write it down for some reason, but it was like 50 to 100 or something like that. It was just some like ridiculous level where he can then go to his editor, and if his editor's like, I don't like this, he can be like, well, I've got 99 out of 100 people that actually did like it, so do you think we should go with them? So I think that's fair. It's a great call. I was invited at one point to be one of those beta readers, but there's just no way with my time schedule and everything that I'm doing and trying to get, at least the channel going and maintaining some kind of consistency. There's just no way. But I think that would be really cool to be on that. And I can't make it happen, but I know some people that do it, and I think it's really cool that they do and that they're on that and that they get that first look from Sanderson. I think I like too much too, just like reading the book, the actual book instead of like a Word copy, like a Word version that, I don't know, maybe you can get on your Kindle, but it all looks funky. I don't know, there's something about that. So I want to keep my reading my hobby and not a business, so that's part of it too. But anyway, good on people that do it. Next thing, Sun Eater news. I love The Empire of Silence, but I kind of took a break to get caught up. I had too many series ongoing at the moment that I wanted to at least finish a couple and get back onto it. But good news, Sun Eater is coming out with some trade paperbacks for books 1 through 3. They've been out of publication, which is just obnoxious. You're like, come on. Anyway, those will be coming out. And then on top of that, we've got a new Tales of the Sun Eater, at least cover, but the cover art by James L. Cook. And so anyway, more Sun Eaters is good. I loved Empire of Silence. Is one of the top books of the year for me. I think now 2 years ago. So this is my first year of YouTubing. It slipped in at the end of the year, and it all of a sudden just boom, was right at the top of my list. So anyway, can't wait to read more on that. Love that Bain picked them up and that they're still going, that we're going to have endings. The other alternative I've seen authors do is just to do Kickstarters to finish up a book. That works too, but I'm glad another publisher is willing to pick them up. That's great. Then we've got some Joe Abercrombie news. Speaking of Joe, right? We've gone through a lot of the top authors here today. The Great Change and Other Lies. This is going to be a short story collection, or maybe novella collection from Subterranean Press. It's 4 and they're set in the Age of Madness, that trilogy world or kind of setting, because it's all First Law, right? It's all First Law. So technically, yeah, it's also Age of Madness world, which is also First Law. So anyway, cover art John Anthony DiGiovanni is what I think is the name of that cover artist. So anyway, it looks cool. Subterranean Press does great work, and it's Joe Abercrombie. And more short stories. Really, it's just The Age of Madness and Sharp Ends that I haven't read for Joe Abercrombie. There's another. He's contributed maybe one of the short stories that I have in another anthology is probably in one of these ones. So anyway. Very excited. Always love Abercrombie. I love, again, Sanderson and Abercrombie talking, and Sanderson just being like, you know what, when I read your stuff, Joe, what I want is to be funnier, because you just nail that. And it's true. It's true. He's so good and so quotable. Like he's just like kind of is really good at like pulling things into a theme. And he can have multiple themes, but it's great. All right, finally into the media. I know this is what everyone was waiting for. Mistborn and other things. Just sounds like Sanderson gave an update, and you can go check it out. I'll put the link below. But essentially, is the Cosmere too big? He's having trouble, and he kind of alluded to that in the Daniel Green interview with Joe Abercrombie about this. It's definitely slowed down, though, as far as getting a production. And part of the problem is because a lot of the stuff that's in one Cosmere book has to kind of stay that way. There's a reason for some of them, because they will relate then to the other 20 Cosmere books. So he kind of has to maintain, I think, a lot of control, which Hollywood doesn't want to do. They want to just go, yeah, you've written that, but I want to write something that's garbage. Okay, that's what we like, and then we'll produce it, and everyone will hate it. And then I don't know how they get money. Why do we keep giving them money? I don't know. You got me. Boggles my mind, but here we are. I just think they've got to look at, just YouTube alone, if you mention Sanderson in any way, you will get all of the views. And that's not exactly true, but you will get a lot of views if you focus a lot of content on Sanderson. I don't understand why they don't know that that's like guaranteed views. Like it's like guaranteed. I just see it. I see it as you got to go for it. Make it good. It's worth it. If I had the money, I would do it, that's hard. It's hard. I get it. I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is a thing, right? I get it, but it is frustrating. It's frustrating. There's been a slowdown on as to Hollywood and Sanderson. At the same time, I have pointed out that I don't want Sanderson to go the way of George R.R. Martin and letting Hollywood pretty much overtake his whole life, to where he's even writing, instead of the book we're all waiting for, episodes and whatnot. And he wrote great episodes, right? I think it was Blackwater was one of them. It was amazing. But at the same time, it's like we want our authors to focus, right? So there's some benefit to not going forward with that kind of stuff. Speaking of, one of the things I thought too was interesting about the interview on Daniel Green's channel was Sanderson kind of talking about like, look, I have to, and he's even had to take a step back on his touring schedule and do a lot less. And he's like, it's because I run a business now, and Dragon steals his business. He's like, if I want to send out, 600,000 copies of books, he's like, I had to run a business. Oh man, that's kind of crazy. And you hope, I don't know, hopefully there's someone trusted that he can, give the reins off to, so we can have him, because he's also the product, and as an attorney who runs his own business, I know, like, as the product, as the person who makes the money, the business side of it sucks. I hate it. It's the worst part of it all, and it takes up way too much time, way more time than I want to ever spend in it and doing it. We're just way too small to even go beyond what we have right now and hire that much more people to run it or anything. But so I understand, to my tiny little realm's understanding. So I get that. So I thought this was funny. So Wheel of Time related, Arby's put out this thing. It was like the meal of time. I'm like, okay, I don't know if Wheel of Time really wants to be associated with Arby's. I hated it growing up. I do. I actually like it now. But I was firmly with The Simpsons when they said, I'm so hungry, I could eat at Arby's. I felt that growing up, and I rubbed it in everyone's face who said that they wanted to go to Arby's. But I think it's funny. Anyway, I don't know, just something funny that was like, I guess is the thing. Speaking of the Wheel of Time, I started watching it. I did not get very far. I got interrupted. Part of my biggest interruption is just being focused on One Piece. I'm like 6 episodes in with my limited time, and I'm loving it. One Piece is great. If you've read just the first initial, like, I don't know, what, 10 to 15 mangas, it's following pretty closely. Like, I have to hand it to them, and I don't know how they're doing it. And the characters are so much fun, and I really feel like they're pulling out this, like, theme of, like, yeah, Monkey D. Luffy's a pirate, but he's not really a pirate. He's a good guy, and he sees good things that other people are doing it, and he wants to surround himself with good people that have good characteristics. And I kind of love that. It's kind of hard. It's like a Ted Lasso, like, is what I'm gathering. It really feels like it's just this, like, feel good show with some great, like, I mean, I don't know, some just excellent parts. You just got to watch it. I can't get enough. There's a reason it's like #1 all over the place. It's so much fun, and I had my reservations. I was going, this is gonna be hard to pull off, and I'm like, I think they pulled it off. I don't know how they did it. So anyway, I'll keep watching and maybe give some more thoughts on that if anyone cares about them. All right, then finally, The Batman Part 2 is coming out. It is going to be, well, it's coming out, is starting filming next year. Turns out The Batman actually starts filming this year, November. I don't know where my information's coming from, but it was dead wrong. It's coming along, right? One of these, I'm sure, been delayed by the writer's strike. If we could just get anywhere with that, that'd be great. But apparently the people that have the money like to keep their money. It's really frustrating, you know? I really, really had low expectations for Robert Pattinson's Batman, and I really am so glad kind of that I did, because it really was great. I enjoyed it a lot. I had so much fun with it. It was really what I liked. I think, you know, you're gonna have a hard time. I'm a huge Bale fan, and so I loved Christian Bale's Batman, but at the same time, like, I felt like this Batman, the Batman, Robert Pattinson Batman, had a better Gotham. I think I have to give it to it right off the bat. It's just a seedier, more real, like more comic realistic, more true to the comics Gotham. That's just, it was slimy and exactly what Gotham is, as opposed to, you know, the Christopher Nolan trilogy was more, it's just like a big city that's going to have some underground bad stuff